Okay, so for number 5, PC5 here, this is not all that different. Uh, Notice what we've computed up here in the previous problem. Here, we've computed d phi dt, right? The curvature is d phi ds, and we're supposed to use these facts down here to relate those to each other. And the idea is that, well, here you go. D phi ds is phi prime that we just computed divided by s prime. And I claim we can interpret s prime as, well, the length of the velocity vector. So let's take this information in the hint here, and let's just write down what it's telling us. So d phi ds is equal to phi prime, that we know, divided by, well, let's see, s prime. S prime is the length of the velocity vector, and the length of the velocity vector is the square root of x prime squared plus y prime squared. That's just, the formula for length of the vector x prime, y prime, namely your velocity vector. Does that make sense? Is everybody okay with that? Okay. So, well, but here's our formula for phi prime right here. Here's phi prime. We're going to take phi prime then, and we're going to divide by that expression, which, by the way, looks a lot like the denominator. It's just that this is the same as that denominator, but to the 1/2 power. And so altogether, what that gives me is d phi ds equals, and I'm going to put the x's before the y's here just for aesthetic purposes, x prime y double prime minus x double prime y prime all over, and then we're going to have x prime squared plus y prime squared quantity to the 3/2, because we have to the 1 originally and then another 1/2 here. It gives us that, and that's what we're supposed to show. Oh, that's almost what we're supposed to show. Is everybody okay so far? Okay. The last little bit that we have to do is the problem is actually asking us to compute curvature. Curvature is the absolute value of this thing. And so the absolute value of that is going to be, well, it's the absolute value of this whole thing, but I claim that this denominator is positive, so I really only have to take the absolute value of the top. And I mean, I'm sure I could take the absolute value of the bottom too, but this is intrinsically positive, and when you raise it to the 3/2, the assumption is you take the positive. How are we doing? Is everybody happy with that? Okay, all right, stop this one.